I'm 96 years old now, and people think fear is something you grow out of, like wrinkles, like pain in your knees. They think fear belongs to the young. But that's not true. Some fears don't fade. Some fears grow roots, and the ones that stay with you long enough can shape your entire life.
For me, it started when I was young. I watched a man I loved lose himself slowly, quietly, piece by piece. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic moment. It was small things first. Forgotten names. Missteps. Confused mornings. The kind of changes people laugh off at first. Just getting old, they say. But I saw something else. I saw a warning. That fear followed me for decades. It sat with me at dinner, walked beside me to work, whispered to me late at night when the house was quiet. The fear wasn't death. I made peace with that long ago. The fear was being alive without truly being there. Breathing, but absent. Existing, but erased. So I made a decision early on. I told myself, if that's where the road leads, I'm not walking it passively. I didn't have a manual. No expert came knocking on my door. I only had observation and instinct. And sometimes that's enough. Fear can paralyze you or can train you. Most people let it freeze them. They avoid it, distract themselves from it. I did the opposite. I stared at it. I studied it. I asked myself what fed it and what fought it. I noticed patterns. The people who faded the fastest were the ones who stopped pushing themselves. They retired from effort before they retired from work. They chose comfort every time it was offered. Softer chairs, easier routines, quieter lives, and slowly, their minds followed that softness into silence. That scared me more than anything else ever has. So I turned fear into structure, into habits, into rules I followed even when I didn't feel like it. Especially when I didn't feel like it. Because discipline isn't built on motivation. It's built on resistance. Every day became a quiet act of defiance. Not dramatic, not heroic, just consistent. I didn't wait to feel inspired. I acted because I was afraid and because I refused to surrender to that fear. Fear doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It waits. It watches. And one day it collects interest. I understood that early. So instead of running from fear, I put it to work. I asked myself one simple question over and over. What would the fearful version of me avoid today? And then I did exactly that thing. When my mind wanted the easy route, I took the hard one. When repetition felt safe, I chose challenge. I didn't do this because it was fun. I did it because comfort felt dangerous. People misunderstand discipline. They think it's about control or willpower. It's not. Discipline is about building systems that carry you when your emotions won't. Fear gave me clarity. It showed me what mattered. I trained my mind the way people train their bodies. Slowly, repeatedly, without shortcuts. I refused to let my thoughts settle into autopilot. The day something felt too easy, I changed it. I increased the difficulty. Not dramatically, just enough to demand attention. And attention, I learned, is everything. A neglected mind doesn't collapse suddenly. It powers down, like a building where rooms go dark one by one. First curiosity, then memory, then awareness. I was determined to keep the lights on, so I treated thinking like maintenance, like brushing teeth, like locking the door at night. Not optional, non-negotiable, even on tired days, especially on tired days. Fear kept me honest. It reminded me what happened when effort stopped. It reminded me that decline doesn't announce itself. It arrives disguised as rest. People around me didn't understand. They said I was doing too much, that I should relax, that I'd earned it. But I had seen what earned rest looked like when it lasted too long. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't brag. Most days, no one notices it at all. But over years, over decades, it builds something powerful. A resilience that doesn't depend on youth or luck. Fear sharpened my priorities. It stripped away nonsense. I stopped chasing things that didn't matter. I focused on what kept me alert, present, engaged. I wasn't trying to live forever. I was trying to stay myself for as long as I lived. And that fear, the one people think is weakness, became my teacher. It taught me consistency. It taught me respect for my own mind. And it taught me that waiting until decline begins is already too late. The strange thing about discipline is that over time, it stops feeling like punishment. It becomes identity. You don't wake up deciding who you'll be. You wake up already shaped by what you've repeated. By the time I reached old age, the habits were no longer forced. They were woven into me. Fear had done its job and stepped aside. What remained was routine, quiet, steady, dependable. I learned something most people never do. Decline isn't inevitable on a schedule. It follows behavior, slowly, faithfully, without mercy or malice. I stayed curious on purpose. I kept asking questions even when no one expected me to. I refused to shrink my world just because my body aged. The size of your world matters. When it gets smaller, your mind follows. I stayed mentally uncomfortable. I didn't chase stimulation, but I avoided stagnation. There's a difference. One distracts you. The other grows you. Some days were boring. Some days were tiring. But boredom never scared me as much as emptiness. Fatigue never scared me as much as forgetting. Discipline gave my days shape. It gave my weeks rhythm. It gave my years direction. Without it, time blurs. With it, time is texture. Fear started this journey, but discipline sustained it. And discipline doesn't care how you feel. It shows up anyway. That's its power. People ask me now how I stayed sharp. They want a trick, a shortcut, a secret they can apply later. I tell them the truth, and they don't like it. There is no later. What you avoid today, you pay for tomorrow. What you train today, you carry with you. Fear helped me see that early. It forced me to choose effort when comfort was easier. And those choices stacked, quietly, patiently, like bricks. Most people wait for a problem before they act. By then, the structure is already weak. I acted because I was afraid, and that fear became the strongest foundation I ever built. Now, at this age, I look back and understand something clearly. Fear isn't the enemy. Avoidance is. Fear points to what matters. It shows you where the cost is highest. Ignore it, and it grows wild. Respect it, and it can guide you. I didn't live a fearless life. I lived an intentional one. Every year, every routine, every uncomfortable choice added up to something people now call sharpness. But sharpness is just the visible result of years of quiet discipline. If you're listening to this and thinking you have time, that's the life fear tried to warn me about. Time doesn't announce when it stops being generous. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need extreme changes. You need consistency guided by honesty. Ask yourself what you're avoiding. Then ask yourself why. Fear will answer you if you let it. Use it. Shape it. Turn it into structure before it turns into regret. I'm not special. I wasn't gifted something others weren't. I simply listened to fear instead of numbing it. I turned into rules I followed when motivation disappeared. And now, near the end, I'm still here, fully present for my own life. Still aware. Still myself. That was always the goal. Not immortality. Not perfection. Just clarity until the last day. Fear gave me that because I didn't run from it.